And welcome in once again, Street Side, the corner of 9 Mile and Woodward here in beautiful downtown Ferndale, Michigan, the site of the Dream Cruise Roadshow on Detroit Public TV at dptv.org, antiquesroadshow.org, and elsewhere. Fred Nahat meeting lots of folks, seeing lots of cars, enjoying this annual event here in the Motor City, Detroit, and the surrounding region. I want to once again welcome in our automotive expert, Detroit automotive legend. Boy, you've just been about at all of the companies here in Detroit and across the world. Bob Lutz, thanks for being here.
Good to be here, Fred. Thank you very much. A lot of fun.
Well, speaking of fun, the next car we're going to look at is from Lynn Anderson, a 1965 Volkswagen Beetle.
Yep.
It's from the movies, but talk about the V-Dub.
Well, as you know, it was the people's car, designed by Ferdinand Porsche, the original Dr. Porsche, and pushed by Hitler, and became hugely popular. Military versions were built during the war, and after the war, the United States discovered it, and they sold upwards of 500,000 a year in the U.S. This is disguised as a movie character, Herbie, but other than the paint decor, it looks to be a really nice original example of an early model Volkswagen Beetle. Very nicely done, original wheels, right tire size, not modified in any way. I really like the car.
Yeah, what I'd also say about the Beetle, what we noticed and when they came over, is, of course, the engine was in the back and the trunk was in the front.
Yeah, well, that's where they say the one girl opened her hood and stopped another one and says, "I've lost my engine." The second one stops and says, "That's okay, I've got a spare in the trunk." So.
Well, we got a chance to work that in. Well, what's also interesting about this, when you think about the Disney movie, this car, I guess, is prescient in a way because it was capable of driving itself, which is something you and I have been talking about.
Yeah, right. Well, it foresaw the future. Yeah, but actually the early Beetles, up until even some model years past this, were a little tricky in the handling department. They had negative camber in the rear wheels, and you had to be careful on wet cobblestones and snow and ice and so forth. If you learned to drive a Volkswagen Beetle fast, you were at the point where you could drive anything.
Yeah, the instrumentation across that flat dash was just sort of right there.
Well, I had a 48 split window with burlap seats and rubber floor mats, and I only had one instrument. It was a speedometer. And, of course, no fuel gauge, which I imagine this one already had a fuel gauge. It was really moving into real luxury.
Well, let's learn a little bit more. Eric Gorgeous standing by with the car owner themselves. E, over to you.
So how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. This is an awesome car.
Thank
what a
you.
fun car to have.
It's a blast. I love my Herbie.
Yeah, I bet. The kids gotta love this. I know my kids would.
Kids of all ages. I get approached by all ages, all ethnicities. Everyone loves Herbie.
Now, how long have you owned it?
I've owned him for 6 years.
Yeah?
Found him just as you saw him here in a barn in Dundee.
Oh, really?
The guy did it for his wife. She hated it, and he parked it for 5 years.
He did it for his wife, and she hated it.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could hate Herbie. So we adopted him, and he'll be mine forever now.
Oh, I think that's great.
Yes.
So do you take it out on the cruise every year?
Every year. We're in parades. We do a lot of things. I've turned the windshield washers around so I can squirt the public in the parades.
Oh, really?
Yep. We play the Herbie soundtrack out the speakers in the front. He's a real fan favorite.
This is fantastic.
Thank you.
This is fantastic. So what's the most fun, like the funnest part of owning a car like this?
The attention. Don't own a car like this if you don't want any attention.
I would think so.
I get stopped everywhere. I drive him all summer long. He's a daily driver for
me.
Really? Yes, and people will come up to me and take his picture even at night. I'll be driving, I'll see a flash on my side. People are taking my picture.
Oh, that's awesome.
He is just that much of a magnet for all people. Everyone loves him, male, female, young, old. Remember, he was the star of 6 movies and a TV show. So he's very, very popular. And he's the reason that Volkswagen became so popular in the 60s.
You think so, yeah?
I do believe so. It was the cars were selling.
Okay.
But when they put a personality behind the car, that's when the sales took off for Volkswagen.
There we go.
It humanized the vehicle and made it the most beloved import car Volkswagen ever imported.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, you see them all over the place. And, the newer ones you see a lot. You don't see the older ones quite as much, but
And that's why they did the new Beetle.
Yeah, right.
To resurge the old look.
Bring it back
with,
around.
With a more modern engine and drivetrain things.
But I love what the Rodders are doing with the Beetles now. They're taking them,
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it or not, but they're taking them and they're chopping them and cutting them and they're doing all kinds of crazy
You'll
things.
see one tomorrow at the M1. One of my Volkswagen Club members put nitrous on his, and he'll be running it up there on Woodward and South Boulevard tomorrow night.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So yes, you can't believe how fast these go down the strip when you've modified them. This is stock. I am stock 1600, 58 horsepower. I'm the anti-muscle car.
58 horsepower.
58 horsepower.
A whopping 58.
And it's enough. I don't need any more than that. I'm not getting there fast, but I'm getting there in style.
Stay off 696, right?
That's true.
All right. Well, thanks so much for
you.
coming out.
I appreciate
we
it.
appreciate it and love your car.
Thank you
Have
very
fun.
much.
All right.
Bye now.
All right,
guys.
Fred.
All right, guys, thank you for that. Well, we talked about a lot of Detroit muscle from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Definitely not muscle and definitely not Detroit,
Well,
but worth
but
a look, right?
when 50 plus horsepower, my 48 had 23 horsepower, so hers is a couple of model years later and it's double.
Yeah, she's doing all right.